Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Dear colleagues of English, welcome to our seminar for today, in which we are going to discuss some hints, let's say, about the English exam for the 9th grade. Well, at the beginning of this seminar, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues of English, let me welcome my colleagues in the studio who are going to participate with me in this seminar. Miss Umayma Sharba, an English supervisor from Tartus. Good afternoon, Miss Umayma.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Abdelmajid Overlay, the coordinator of English in the NCCD. Welcome, Mr. Abdelmajid. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you.
Well, dear colleagues, as you know, our seminar for today is very important because in which we are going to talk about the exam. As you know, a lot of students, because they are new, maybe most of them don't know, let's say, or don't have an idea about the English test in general. I'd like to start with some questions about the test itself, the rubrics, the form. As you know, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking here to parents at homes. I'm sure that they are listening to us now and they are very interested because they care about their kids and the future of their kids, and we also care for them. As you know, the test consists of 2 pages, my colleagues. In the first page we have 2 texts. In the second page we have different questions. These questions, let's say, deal with some grammatical functions, tenses, vocabulary, dialogues, and so on. At the end of the exam, of course, the student is given 2 topics or 2 compositions to choose one of them and to write a composition of no more than maybe 50 words about one of these 2 compositions. This is the main form of the test. But now let's talk in details, Mr. Abdelmajid, Miss Umayma. Let me start with you, Miss Umayma. I'd like to talk about the first text, please. Yes. Let's talk about the first text. Of course, here I'd like you to tell the students about the number of words maybe in each text, the tasks which are required in each text.
Yes.
Let's start with text number 1.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Basil. Sorry.
Okay.
Starting with the first text, it's a text taken from the student book, from the books of the student. He should read the text carefully because there are questions below the text itself. The student should read, understand everything in it,
Yes.
should know, read it carefully, and then he has to choose. He should read and answer, write the answer next to in
Each
his
number.
answering paper. Yes, to each number. He has numbers in his answering. When he answers, he shouldn't put the number. There is a number, and write the answer next to it. Then he has to choose the right answer. He has choices A, B, and C. He should read them, the 3 choices carefully.
Good.
Then choose the correct.
So, what about the words, I mean the number of vocabulary in each text?
Well,
I think they are between 70 to 80, no more than 80
Yes.
words.
Yes.
Maybe 90, it's okay, but no more than
No
80
more than
words. This is the size, let's say, of the text itself.
Yes.
As you said, we have 2 tasks here.
Yes.
The first task
The first task is to choose.
consists of
we
3
have options.
sentences, 3 numbers.
Yes, 3 numbers. We have options.
We can use the laptop if you like. Thank you. Okay.
Yes, we have
To
number
explain.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
The student should read the
Yes.
sentence carefully, then decide which answer is correct to choose between these options A, B, and C.
Good.
So each number had the 3 choices.
Good.
Okay, and he should choose, then write the correct answer. Just write the answer.
Yes.
He doesn't have to write the whole sentence. I mean, just write the correct answer.
Yes.
Okay. This is for the first task.
Okay, let me ask you another question, Ms.
Yes.
Umayma, about the 3 questions, these 3 sentences. Do these 3 statements, let's say, test or assess, let's say, grammatical skills or, let's say, comprehension? They are related to comprehension. Understanding.
Yes.
It's very important
Yes.
to tell the students that Here the questions are related to comprehension, I mean understanding. Here the student, as you said, has to read the text very, very well, very carefully, understand the main ideas of the text,
Yes.
and then he can answer the questions.
Yes.
So there is no relation here with, let's say, grammar or spelling
Or spelling.
so on.
So it depends on the vocabulary the student has.
Yes,
If he knows the meaning of the words, it is a piece of cake.
Yes.
that's it. A piece of cake. I like this word.
Well.
Okay. Miss Umayma, what about the second task?
About the second task, we have the definition of the words. We have the meaning. The student should know the meaning of the words because in the text itself there are 3 underlined words.
Good.
Then he has to read the definition and write about 2 words only. In
Match.
the text itself, then he
It
has
is
to
a
match.
matching
Yes.
exercise.
In the
Yes.
text we have 3 underlined words. 2 answers are correct. 1 is not.
There is one extra word.
Then
Yes,
there is
yes.
one extra word.
Okay.
So the student when read, this is about 4 and 5.
Of course, here each number is given 10 marks.
Yes.
The total mark here, let's say 50, is 50
Yes.
for the first text.
Yes.
And I think it's the same for the second text.
Yes.
Thank you, Miss Umayma.
Thank you.
That's everything for the second text in the first page. Mr. Majid, what about the second text, please?
Thank you. Well, actually, as you said, this is comprehension text. It depends on how much vocabulary the students know. If the student knows. If he knows the meaning of most of the words, if not all the words, it is very easy. The student needs to read the second text, and after that he has 2 tasks. First, false or true. The student is going to choose if the sentence written after the text is
Yes.
correct according to the text itself. He reads the text and he reads the sentence. If it is same as the text, so it's true, he can write in the paper.
Yes.
Either he can put a tick or he can write T for true,
Yes, yes.
or anything that shows correct answer.
So you said, Mr. Majid, that the student here, if the sentence is true, he can write the letter T,
Yes.
or the word true, or
tick.
the form tick.
Yes.
That's it. So he has 3 choices just to inform the corrector that he knows the answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
And sometimes, but this is to be on the safe side, it's better to keep doing it like this.
Yes.
Sometimes, even if he writes correct in French, it's accepted.
Okay.
But it means that
Yes.
students knows, because as you know, our students learn English and French
Yes,
together.
yes.
So first,
I agree.
3 questions about the second text, 6, 7, 8, are sentences about the text itself. The student needs to write either correct, true, or false. If the
Okay.
sentence is true, he writes
Okay.
tick.
Yes.
Or true, or anything that shows that it is correct.
Okay.
If it's false, he can write F for false, or he simply can put X. It
Okay.
means, it's
Cross,
so this
yes.
is for 6, 7, and 8. The second task is answer the following. Here we have 2 questions about the text itself. If the text is about science, the student is going to find a question about science in the text.
Yes.
If it is about travel, he will find questions about traveling. So he needs to understand the text, and
Good.
then, for example, in the text in my hand, it is about happiness, sources
Okay.
of happiness. The question is, name 3 sources of happiness. The
So he
answer
has
is
to
in the
go
text.
back to the text to
Yeah,
find the
he can
sources.
find the answer in
You
the
mean,
text.
Mr. Majid, here in each question, we can say, Ms. Umayma, that in each question there is a key word.
Yeah, of
There is a
course.
key word. Here we are asking about happiness, for example, as you said, or the sources. Okay, here the sources, maybe this word is the key word. So he has to go back to the text, try to look for all information about sources of happiness in the text itself. But let me add something here, Mr. Majid. I advise all the students, because, or since it is an English exam, they have to write in English, not in French or any
of
other
course,
language,
of
of course. But here, because you mean they are true, false statements or questions like this, okay, it would be accepted if he, let's say, draw a form which shows us that this sentence is not correct or this sentence is correct.
Yeah, that's
It
what I mean.
depends on what we understand from the shape itself. So,
Yes.
but in general, we advise the students that they have three choices only. They can write the letter F or T, they can write the words false or true, or they can write tick or cross, let's say that. That's it.
Yes.
So all these are accepted. I think they are enough, Mr. Majid. Am I
Yes.
right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, what about the second? Now, and there is something else here. The three statements here have no relation at all with grammar mistakes,
No,
spelling
we don't
mistakes.
have, yeah.
Here, the mistake is in the information itself.
Yes, it's
the information
comprehension
itself
question.
is not correct, and the student here has to know whether this information is correct about the text or not.
So the first page depends on the vocabulary the student has.
Yes.
If he understands, he can answer them very easily. If he doesn't know the meaning of the words, it will be a big problem. That's why we all the time say learn vocabulary but through context,
Yes.
so that they understand. And we can now give them a hint that if the student doesn't understand everything, he needs to judge. He needs to understand the general meaning.
Of course.
And from general meaning, he can judge and he can answer.
He can
even
decide.
If he couldn't,
Yes,
even
yes.
if he couldn't understand all the words, the meaning of all the words, he can find the general meaning, and depending on the general meaning, he can also answer
Good,
the question.
good.
So this is a hint for the exam.
There is something else. Maybe some teachers say or tell their students that in numbers 9 and 10, they have to write a full sentence, a complete sentence. Let's tell them that sometimes it's not necessary to write a whole sentence. What necessary here is to give the correct information. For example, Omar lives in London. Let's say that there is a question about Omar. Where does Omar live? It's enough to say in London. There is no need to write a whole sentence,
Yeah, but,
as some teachers say. It's better to write a complete
Mr. Basil,
sentence.
sometimes in the grading scale, the full answer is necessary.
Yes.
And sometimes, as you know, if the student writes only in London, he might lose some of the marks. So I'm with
No,
the teachers.
I mean here
to say
because
full.
Mr. Majid, they are comprehension questions. What we want here from the student is to give us the specific information we are asking about it, right?
Yeah,
so
good.
it's enough. Sometimes I said, sometimes it's not. It's enough to say 2 words or 3 words. There is no need to write a whole sentence. But sometimes, as you said, it's necessary
Yes.
to write a complete
So to be
sentence.
on the safe
it
side-
depends on the question.
To be on the safe side
I-
for the
I agree.
student,
I agree with you.
to write full sentence.
Yes, I agree with you. It's okay. Well, it's a type of controversy.
Yeah, good.
Okay, let's go on.
Yes.
Miss Umayma,
The
thank you,
second
Mr.
page.
Majid. Let's go on to the second page. Question C. Here, the rubric says, read the following sentences and choose the correct answer. What can you tell us, Miss Umayma, about this question?
Well, here about C, we have 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Yes.
The student should read the sentence carefully because here he has choices.
Yes.
He has to choose between 2 options, 2 only between 2 brackets. We have grammar.
Yes.
We have different options related to the grammar, which is
Yes,
in
so-
the book itself.
Good. So what types of words here can be given between brackets?
They are, for example, between the adverb and the adjective.
You mean
or,
vocabulary?
between vocabulary.
We can
yes.
assess vocabulary here.
Assess
And grammar.
vocabulary
Grammar.
and grammar.
Functional words, you mean?
Functional words.
Connecting words,
And also
relative pronouns,
comprehension.
prepositions, question tags, everything.
Everything
Here,
related to grammar.
this question, I think, can cover a lot of skills.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
So, I think here the student has to read each sentence
Each
very
sentence
carefully.
very carefully.
Yes.
Yes. He has to read it to the
It
end.
depends on his background of vocabulary and grammar.
Yes.
If he has a good background, he will be able to answer these
So here,
questions easily.
the focus is on grammar.
Yes.
Yes.
More than
Yes.
comprehension.
Yes. Of course.
Yes, it's only grammar, and the student here should write the correct answer they focus on grammar, but sometimes, for example, if we have the choice between two verbs, the simple past and the present perfect, and the student writes, for example, have only. What about he should write the answer, all the phrase, all the word which he's supposed to write.
Now, in this case, let me just
Before we go on, Mr. Majid, I think we have a call. Let me remind the dear students that you can call us at any time. You can contact us by using the numbers shown on the screen. Now we have a call. Do we have a call?
Hello.
Ihab, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Hello. I'm fine.
Good.
And you?
We're fine, thank
We're
you.
fine, thank you.
I want to ask about the lesson, the page 44 in student's book,
We don't have books.
the makers of modern medicine.
What kind of question about modern medicine? Let's open the book. Can you open your book, Ihab?
Yes.
Would you please read the question for us?
إذا مطلوب أو لا يعني النص.
It's okay. Are you talking about compositions, Ihab? A composition, you mean?
Paragraph?
يعني
Is it a new version or old version? Maybe he wants to know if it is deleted or not.
What is the text, Ihab?
no. Lesson the makers of modern medicine is page 44 in student's book.
So it talks about Brian or nurse, Brian. Read the first sentence, please.
Read the question.
Read the text itself,
Text.
the first page, the first line.
No. Is it missing? This message is missing.
I don't understand you. Ihab.
He wants
Ihab.
to know if it's deleted in the new version or not.
I
But we
want.
don't know the
Okay,
the text
Mr. Majid.
itself.
I want to know the text itself to
Just
answer
read the
him, to
first
be able
line,
to answer his question.
Yeah, read the first line.
Read the first line in the text, Ihab.
First line.
The first line. Read the first sentence. Read it.
The text is missing.
Missing words?
Missing words.
No, I understand.
Ihab,
No.
Ihab.
Makers of modern medicine.
Okay, read the sentence. Read the first sentence of the text. We don't have the
No,
book.
no, no.
Mister.
I want to ask about the text is missing in our.
In the new version. In the new version.
Okay. Now I understand you. Ihab, if there is a text in the book which is missing in the old edition, of course it is not required for the exam. Is it clear?
Yes.
Clear? And those who have the old edition, there is another text which is not found in the old edition, which is about computers or video games, like, right?
Yes.
Okay, it is not required as a text. It's okay because it is not found in the old edition. It is only found in the new edition, right? So it is not required as a text. Be sure. Okay?
Okay.
Is it clear now? So don't worry, Ihab. Maybe we can, or let's say, some of the sentences can be in the exam as in general in some questions, but not as a text. Not as a text. Okay?
Okay.
So don't worry about this. Okay? Do you have another question? Another question? Do you have another question? Okay. Goodbye. Good luck, Ihab. Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Majid, Ms. Umayma, Ihab focuses on a very important
Yes.
point.
It's a good idea to talk about
It's
that.
a good idea to talk about it because I think it's very important. As you know, we have a new edition.
Not all students have the same book. We have
course.
two
Of
versions,
course.
two editions.
Be sure, I'd like to tell all the students that those who have the old edition, it's okay. Be calm, relax. There is nothing let's say you are not going to be tested, let's say in the exam, about anything which is not found in your book.
Yes.
That's it. This is what I can say.
So exam questions are going to be from what is mutual between the two books.
Shared.
Yeah, shared.
Common.
Common,
Shared.
because
Yes,
yes.
yes. That's it. Thank you. We can go back to
Yes.
question D. Thank you, Ms. Umayma. I
Thank
think you have talked about question C. This question is given 40 marks. Mr. Majid, what about question number or question D?
Okay.
Here,
rubric-
there is a dialogue, I think.
Yeah, the rubric is choose the correct answer A, B, or C.
Yes.
Again, the student here has 3 choices. He's going to choose. We have 40 marks allotted for this question. 15, 16, 17, 18. It means every question is allotted 10 marks.
Yes.
It's kind of dialogue. Yes, 2 people are talking to each other. And here we have a missing word. This missing word can be the auxiliary or can be the question word. So the student needs to know how to fill in the missing word.
Okay.
For example, in my version of exam paper, we have Huda saying, "You ready to set off?" Ready here is an adjective, and we are going to use an auxiliary verb. The student needs to judge here. And we have do, we have can, and we have are. So he needs to put at the beginning, if he doesn't know immediately the answer, I am the student, I don't know what answer I'm going to choose, so I can put first do. Do you ready? Do usually is followed with an infinitive, and ready is an adjective, so it's not do.
Do you write? Do you
Yes.
play? Do you...
Can you ready? Can again is auxiliary followed with an infinitive.
Yes.
So the only choice accepted is are. Are you ready? So the
Good,
correct
good,
answer.
good.
I'm telling here a hint to the students who don't know exactly. If the student is strong enough, he will immediately know it's are. But when we don't know, we can choose the 3 choices, judge them, and choose the correct
Thank you,
one.
Mr. Majid. We have another call from Ragad. Ragad from Damascus. Good afternoon, Ragad.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you?
I'm very fine.
I'm sure that you are working hard now for
Yes,
the
sir.
exam, right?
Of course, I'm trying to get the full mark.
Good.
Good.
We
Good.
hope
You
so.
will,
We
God
hope
willing.
so.
Good luck.
Good student.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure that you have a question about the exam, right?
Actually, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Good.
First question is in page 27, the activity book. It's about the paragraph, use the notes to write about New Zealand.
New Zealand.
New
Yes.
Zealand.
Yes, I would like to ask you, this paragraph is very hard to memorize and have difficult
Good question.
Okay.
Yes.
Good question. What
Yes, I would
else?
like to ask you, is this paragraph, can it come in the exam because it's really hard to memorize? And I have no idea about New Zealand and it's very hard to memorize it.
Your question is great. Thank you. What else?
The other question is it's also about the paragraph.
About another paragraph?
Yes, it's
My
about
God.
another paragraph.
Okay.
It's page 19.
Okay.
It's about write a fact file about a tourist site in Syria.
About?
A tourist site
Okay.
in Syria.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know how to write a fact file, and when I want to write this paragraph, I just write a normal paragraph. Like if I want to talk about Tadmor, I'll say that it's in the center of Syria.
Okay. Okay. Your question, your 2 questions are very clear.
Yeah, very
I
nice.
can answer you. Thank you for your questions. Well, for the first question, dear colleagues, here you have. Are you with me, Ala?
Yes.
Ragad, sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Ragad.
okay.
Well, here, of course, maybe some of the students have an idea about New Zealand, but not all of them. So when we ask a student, any student, to write a composition, he should have a good background and a good experience about the topic we are asking him to write about, or the place. At least we can ask him ask you to write a place in your country. You know this, but you don't maybe know or have enough information about New Zealand, so you are unable, of course, to cover everything. And there is something else. The main purpose of the composition, Ragad, is not memorizing.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Ragad, are you with me?
Yes, I'm listening.
It's not to memorize a composition. Here
So
the task is to write freely.
has nothing to do
Of course.
with the exam.
Of course.
The question for composition is going to be about how well the student can
Yes.
compose
Yes.
sentences.
Yes.
Even those who buy the ready-made composition, this is not our aim. Our aim is to give a composition any student can write about using correct sentences. So don't worry, we're not asking you about memorizing anything. You just need to know how to write a simple sentence and then connect them to make a paragraph.
Thank you. So write freely, use your own words, and don't worry about anything. So I'd like to repeat again. We can ask you to write about your country because you know
Yeah.
about your country, okay? To write about a city in your country
Yes.
because you know about a city in your country, but you have no information about New Zealand or Brazil or whatever.
Exactly. yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Is my answer clear?
Yes.
Thank you. The second question, again here, tourist site in your country, of course, it is an important composition and you can write freely or easily about any tourist site in your country. We have a lot of sites in our country.
But,
But not a
file.
but not a fact file. We go back to the question itself, Ragad.
Yes.
The question says, write a composition. Write a composition. So you are free. Just write.
Just
use
write.
your own words. Use your own style, whatever. What we want here is your own style, your own words. Again, not to memorize. Thank you.
Yes.
Is my answer clear now?
Yes, but I thought I am supposed to write a fact file or something.
It's okay. No.
No.
Not necessary. Not necessary.
Yes.
Okay, it's just a training for you in the book. When we talk about the exam, the case is different here. Okay,
It can be a project, but not in the exam.
exactly.
Because in the project you can go to
Collect,
find the correct
gather
information. So questions are not going to be about memorization.
Of course.
It's going about how well you know how to use the language. So it's not numbers, exact numbers or places, but about your place. Of course, you're not going to say that Damascus is in the north of Syria.
Not to give, let's say, incorrect information. Okay? Well, goodbye. We wish you good luck. Thank you for your questions. Goodbye. Thanks for your call, Ragad. Let's go back, my colleagues, to question 4. Mr. Majid, Abdul Majid was talking about the dialogue. So your
here
idea
it
is very
grammar.
clear.
Grammar.
Yes.
The student needs to choose the correct word to complete the dialogue. So he can judge. He can choose the correct word to complete the sentence. Every question.
Sorry
is
for
about-
interruption, Mr. Abdul
Again,
Majid. We have
call.
another call from a teacher, Ruba. Good afternoon, Miss Ruba.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
Fine, thanks a lot.
Thanks
Good
for your
afternoon.
call.
Thanks.
Well, I'm sure that you have something for
Yes.
our seminar for today. Yes.
In the previous call, you talk about the composition.
Okay.
So every year I participate in the correction of the ninth grade.
Sorry, the voice is not clear. Would you please
I
repeat
say,
again?
Every year I participate in the correction of ninth grade.
Okay.
Okay. Last year I corrected composition.
I'm sorry, the voice
She
is...
corrected composition, yes.
She-
Yes.
Okay.
I found that most of the compositions that I corrected are the same.
Yeah, same copy, memorization. Yeah.
We suffer from the
So
same
all
problem.
The students, or most of the students memorize the composition.
Thank you.
So it's a problem in my opinion.
Thank
so we
you.
have
Yes, that's right.
to find an easy topics for our students. To
We
try
all
to-
in the studio agree with you. Be sure. It's a problem, really. Yes. What else?
But only about the composition. All the other questions are very good for our students. And they cover all stuff that they studied.
So, how do you think can we, or we can, let's say, solve this problem as a teacher? Of course, I'm asking you
As a
now as a
teacher.
teacher.
As a teacher, maybe we can pick an easy topic, not from the books, because all topics that they are in their book, they will memorize it and write it.
Thank you. Now we have a new voice, dear colleagues. This new voice is asking us, asking the ministry,
Yes,
I'm talking
yes.
frankly here in
Yes.
front of all the people now, that the compositions, it's better to be from outside the course.
Yes.
It's okay.
Actually,
I respect your
we
your
need
opinion.
to change the mentality of a lot of teachers who make their students memorize ready-made compositions.
Yes.
We want these good teachers to help their students learn how to write a simple sentence, then how to join it with another sentence, and then they can write a composition. But we have this problem, and in the market you can see a lot of versions of
Notebooks,
same copy,
notebooks.
yes, yeah, prepared. Sometimes it's only for composition. And students, if the composition came from what they memorized, they can write easily. And if it's not from what they learned, they get stuck. This is the problem of the teacher, and God will punish these teachers in doomsday, God willing.
Be sure.
Because they are spoiling the students.
Yes.
These teachers
Yes.
are bad teachers because they are spoiling the students.
Yes.
They need
That's
to
right.
teach them how to write, know how to memorize.
Thank you.
But
Thank
this,
you, Mr. Mahdi.
Mr. Ruba, is
I
very good.
really appreciate your position. I really appreciate your call and your own point of view about this problem, which we suffer from all over, let's say, governorates in Syria. In most schools, many teachers ask their students to memorize the topic, not to write their own topic or to express. But
To be honest, yeah, this happens.
okay, because it happens, dear colleague, the ministry cares for its kids. They are our
Yeah.
kids.
And we're
right?
going to change
So
the
we
whole
care for
way
their
of
future.
exam.
So if we want to improve something or to develop or to change something, we cannot make it, let's say, in a hurry. We have to study everything about it in order to reach the correct decision. But in general, I agree with you, maybe in the future we can do something to solve this problem. Thank
Actually,
you.
we
Thank
will.
you very much.
We
will
will,
do
will
it.
do
Thank you.
something.
Thank you, Ru.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you. Well, let's go back. I'd like to thank Ms. Ruba because she
Yes.
dealt with a very
Yeah.
important issue.
Because she's in the
Really.
field and suffers from this.
Yes,
And
she's a
as she
teacher.
said, in the correcting center, sometimes the students not only they learn, memorize every word, sometimes they don't write correctly, and the correcting person, sometimes he doesn't understand what is written, but because he corrected 10 or 15 same paragraph, he can read, even if some words are missing or some letters are joined to another word, because it is the same copy.
Yes.
It's a problem. This is not what we aim to in the
Yes.
Ministry of Education. We don't want students to memorize. We want students to learn how to express themselves in
Exactly.
writing.
Exactly.
So good teachers, and I'm so sorry when I mentioned the word bad teachers. I didn't mean it, but what I meant that we need good teachers who teach their students to write, not to memorize.
Let's say.
Because what they memorize, they will forget after.
Let me focus on this word. I disagree with you to use the word bad here.
Yeah,
I don't think there is a bad teacher.
Yeah, I apologize.
Maybe there is a teacher, okay, who works hard, who likes working hard to improve himself. And there is another teacher who doesn't like to work hard and to increase his experience or to read, let's say, to go back to resources, to improve his language, to improve his background of the language, everything.
Well, let me defend myself.
Yes.
Although I apologized, but what I meant.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
A lot of teachers who say we have expectations
Yes.
for composition.
Yes.
And they prepare ready-made compositions, 3 or 4. They say we expect these compositions to come in the exam,
Yes.
memorize them, and you will pass. This is what I meant. I didn't mean the teachers who teach the
Yes.
students.
So we advise our students that don't listen to these shouts or
Correct.
rumors.
Yes.
Yes.
Rumors before the exam. there are many rumors, right?
Yeah.
So some of the teachers say that you have to focus only on these 4 or 5 topics. One of them
Will come.
will come in the exam.
They say this a lot.
Don't
of teachers.
listen to these cries, shouts, whatever, rumors, because everything that is required for the exam from Unit 1 to Unit 12. So you have to go back to your course, to read it very well. Even when we talk about compositions, why don't you try to write a composition and ask someone in your
correct.
family or your own teacher to correct your composition and tell him that is it enough if it comes in the exam.
Actually, good teachers do this. They teach their
good
students.
teachers do this.
A lot of
Follow
teachers
this
are
strategy.
good. We have good
Yes.
teachers. They
Yes,
teach
we
their
have.
students this way, but we also have some not very good.
Yes,
Not
but
very
we
good
have
teachers.
a lot of good teachers. Really, honestly speaking,
Yes.
we have good teachers. We have
Hardworking teachers.
those who follow this strategy and try to improve the students' skills in English and in any other subject, not in English. So we should admit that we have in all our schools good teachers, but we are trying to, let's say, focus on some points which we don't like. And we want, because we care for the students, this is why we tell them that there are some teachers that are following a bad strategy.
Yes.
A bad strategy, not a good strategy.
Yes.
Thank you very much. What about Ms. Umayma, question E now?
Yes, about question
from
E.
number 19 to number 21.
Yes, that's right, which allotted 13 marks. Here we have missing words, and for each sentence we have missing words. The missing words, the words are related, they are functional. Functional, it's a grammar here. They may be, we have auxiliary verbs, sometimes relative pronouns,
Prepositions,
articles,
relative pronouns,
different choices, yes,
connecting
all.
words.
So here the words are functional. We have sentences with missing words. Okay?
Yes.
We have 3 sentences actually. The students should read and find out the correct.
Let's talk about number 19
Well,
here, which is very clear.
Yes.
People, space, write articles.
Yes.
So here there is a missing word.
Yes.
I think it is who?
Yes.
Am I right?
The student, yes.
Complete
Let's
the sentence.
complete the sentence to the end.
Yes.
Okay?
Decide, yes.
To decide
Yes.
the correct answer, write articles for newspapers are called journalists. Okay, so the students
It should be
think.
relative pronoun.
Yes,
But
it-
when he gave us half sentence, it could be people can write articles.
yes,
Yes.
So
yes.
we need to read the whole sentence before we choose. Thank you very much for doing this.
yes.
Because the student needs to read the whole sentence before he decides.
Yes.
Before he decide the
yes,
correct.
yes.
Sometimes when he reads half of the sentence, as you said, Mr. Majid, he
Maybe
will.
he can
So
put
the words, Ms. Umayma, here are not ordinary words.
No,
They are functional
functional words.
Functional.
words. I mean with ordinary words, of course, not computer, for example, or earthquake, or volcano, or
Yes.
whatever.
Yes.
Not an ordinary word.
Not
It
words.
must be a
either
Pronouns.
relative pronoun
Yes.
or
An auxiliary
auxiliary
verb.
verbs.
etc.
Yeah, something
Thank you.
functional.
Thank you.
Anything related to
Thank
the
you.
meaning of the sentence.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Mr. Majid, question F, please.
Good. Thank you. Here it is a matching question. We have 2 parts, information. First half in column A, and the continuity, the complement is in the second part.
Yes.
Student needs to read every sentence and find the completion of this sentence in the second part. In the exam, he has choices. Either he writes the whole correct sentence, 2 halves, but it is not necessary, or he can write the number of the first half and the letter of the second half, or he can write the number of the first half and the whole sentence.
Yes.
Sometimes in the correcting scale, if the student writes
The
only
first
the
word.
first word, it means he knows
It
that
is
this is
accepted.
the answer, it's accepted. But to be on the safe side, write either
whole
the
answer.
number or the corresponding letter or both halves.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to add something, please.
Please.
I always advise write the whole sentence, or at least the first half of the sentence, because sometimes the student write the letter itself for the correct answer. He may write it in a way that the corrector or
Which is not clear,
which is
you
not
mean.
clear.
So
write
it's
the
better to
sentence.
be
It's
very
better.
clear.
Be in
Yes.
the
Try to be
safe
very
side
clear.
and write the whole answer.
Yes,
That's-
it's
This is
better.
one of choices, but
Okay.
it's okay if
But
he writes
it
the
was
number
enough
and
to
the
write the
letter.
letter. It's
Well,
okay.
It's okay.
When
but
it is enough,
To
we
be
can
safe.
if it is enough to write the number and the letter, why to take the risk? He may make mistakes
Yes, yes.
with copying. Although we can say that in the grading scale we overlook sometimes, but what if we didn't overlook?
Mm-hmm.
So to be on the safe side, when we have a letter but sometimes the student may encounter a question, two halves to be connected without numbers or letters. Some students try to put numbers and letters in.
Yes.
This is not okay.
Yes.
So if we don't have numbers and letters already put in the question, the student here needs to write the full sentence. But when we have numbers and letters, it's okay to write the number and the
It would
corresponding
be
letter.
enough.
The corresponding.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Well, Miss Umayma, question G, please.
Well, for question
Again
G
here,
from
choose.
26, yes, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 13, we have choices, okay? That students should choose the correct clause.
Sorry for interruption, Miss Umayma.
Yes.
Before we go on, we have a call from Ubay.
Thanks.
Ubay from Damascus. Good afternoon, Ubay.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Hi. How are you?
I am fine, and you?
We're fine.
I have two questions about the paragraphs in the student book.
Which one?
The problem solving in the real world, page 56.
What problem?
In the modern books, these paragraphs are deleting.
Okay.
Ah.
So it's not going to come.
So it is
not
deleted,
required.
right?
Uh,
So you have answered your question. It is deleted, Ubay.
okay.
Do you understand me? It is
Yes.
deleted. So
it's deleted.
it's not important
It's not required.
as a text
Not
or as a
important.
paragraph. You have to study it to know the vocabulary in the text. That's it. But not as a text or as a composition.
Okay.
Why? Because we have two editions, as you know, the old edition and the new edition. Okay? Your qu-
For the second question, I want to ask you for the third conditional sentence.
Okay.
In the modern book also
Again.
are deleting.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
we were going to tell you before you call. It's okay. Thank you for your question. Your question is
Good question,
important.
good
Good
question,
question, and that shows us. Your question shows us that you have understood very well, and you have a good information
You
about
studied
your
both
course.
books.
Yes, you have studied the two editions. My God, you are. You
Good.
are a
What
good
is here
student.
and
You
what
are
is not
hardworking.
here. Yeah, good.
So it's okay. Related or concerning the conditionals, when we talk about conditionals, as you know, in the old edition, dear colleagues, there were three types
Three
of
types, yes.
conditionals, as you know,
And
right,
the
Ubay?
modern just two.
Ubay,
Yes.
in the old edition, there were three types of conditionals. There are three types of conditionals.
Yes.
They were found in the old edition. They are found, but not in the new edition. In the new edition, there are only two types of conditionals, the first type and the second type.
Okay.
Okay? So,
thank you.
which means that the third type of conditionals
Is
is
not
not required. Clear?
Clear. Thank you.
Any other question?
No, thank you.
We wish you all the best. Goodbye. Thank you very
Thank
much. Thank you. Okay, good question.
Good
Yeah,
question.
Really,
Good student.
we need to
the
cover this
questions
as
of the
well.
students show us that they
Yeah,
are
because
really
they care
hardworking.
for this. Because what
care,
if a
yes.
question came from the other book?
Yes.
And we need to clarify this from the beginning.
Yes,
If we did, we wouldn't need to.
they are highlighting very important
Yes,
points.
yes, because it is kind of fear for a lot of students that in our school we studied the old edition.
Yes.
And my friend or my cousin in other school studied another edition. So the exam
In the
is going-
same class, Mr.
Sometimes, yeah,
Majid,
they have
sometimes you find
Yeah.
The
Two
two
editions.
So
Yes.
until we finish this problem and we have the same new edition,
Yes.
questions are going to be from questions that are mutual in both editions.
So next year, this is the last year we face this problem, of course.
So don't worry.
Next
don't
year,
worry.
don't worry, we will have, all the students will have a new edition in all governorates.
Yeah.
That's it. Uh,
Yes.
okay, let's go back to the question about tenses, I think.
About tenses, yes.
Yes.
To choose about tenses here, you know that the book has a lot of tenses, okay? The students should read the sentence and
So.
choose according to the sentence, the correct tense.
So, all tenses are required.
Yes.
Past tenses, present tenses, future tenses, even the two forms, active voice and passive voice,
Yes.
but not as forms, as tenses.
As tenses.
Okay.
That's it.
Conditionals
Conditionals,
can
yes.
be here in this question. Why not? Okay. So that's everything about it, and I'm sure that they
Yes,
know about this
they-
question.
yes.
Again, we have here 5 numbers, right?
5.
50 marks for this question.
10 each.
Now, Mr. Majid, we can talk about the dialogue. We'd like to finish everything before we have a break. So we have only 2 questions we have to cover in 3 minutes, then we can have a break. So let's talk about the dialogue, please.
We mentioned dialogue in question D. It was just missing word, just one word missing. Now here it's question making. The question letter H, it's question making. We have an answer,
Okay.
and the student needs to put the question for this answer. For example, I want to go to the old city in Damascus. Here, in the old city in Damascus is a place.
Yes.
So the student needs to use where, since we don't know. So let me clarify. We have 2 kinds of questions. Yes, no questions.
Okay.
And when we have in the answer the word yes or no, no question word, no WH word is used.
Okay.
But when we don't have yes or no in the answer, the student needs to write WH word. Here we don't have yes or no, and we have a place. So the question word is
About a place.
a place where. And where alone has a mark. Of
course.
If the student just wrote
Right, only one word.
one word, where,
Question word.
he will take a mark.
Of course.
And then I want to go, it's simple present. We usually ask using do. Where do? Who? When said I, so the question is you. Where do you want to go? So it's completing the dialogue by putting questions. And this depends again on knowing tenses.
So you
and how to-
advise, Mr. Abdul Majid, the students not to leave this, let's say, question or this number empty. I
Yeah,
mean,
of course.
uh,
Even just one word.
even if you
he
are
will take a
unable
mark.
to write the whole question, and you know the word, you know where, it's okay. Write where. Try to do something, but not to leave it empty without
Yes,
nothing.
yes.
Right, without doing nothing. So here, as you can see, if you go back to the laptop, please. Let's talk about another example. Here, in the dialogue, Mr. Abdul Majid, number 31, we should do a physical activity every day. Here we have
It's
2
thing.
types or 2 kinds of information
Yeah.
in this sentence, right?
Yes.
We should do something, and how often should we do it? Every
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
So here the student can say, what should we do every day?
One way, yeah, it's
a way.
accepted.
Or how often should we do a physical activity?
It is accepted as well.
It is accepted.
So if the student
So-
writes any logical question,
Any logical
it is
question is
It's
accepted.
accepted.
So
That's
don't
right.
worry, dear students. Of course, the second one, because it keeps us fit and healthy, I think it's very clear that they have to use why
Yeah,
here,
when we have
because we
because the
are
question
asking
word is
about
why.
the reason.
Yes.
Okay, and so on. And in the second dialogue,
Yes.
Miss Umayma, here the student has to write answers.
Answers. Now they have the question, they should write the answers, they should read it according to the question.
Let's try to
with the
practice
tense.
it, please, me and you.
Yes. What would you like to be in the future?
A doctor. It would be enough if you say a doctor.
Here,
Yes, it's
here
right.
again,
Yes.
it's better to write
I know.
a full sentence.
Yes.
I want
It's
to be
it's
a
better.
doctor.
Yes,
It's better.
It's better.
It's open, an open
I know,
question.
I know.
So whatever the student writes,
But Mr.
it's
Majid,
okay.
in real life, let's go back to real life. how do we communicate with each other in real life? This is why I say it would be enough if he says, a doctor.
Yeah, but in
Well,
exam,
when you
you
ask
may
me,
miss some
and
marks.
I know. No, it's not necessary. It depends on each situation, on the dialogue itself. But here in this case, I assure you that he will get the full mark if he says a doctor,
Just a doctor.
an engineer,
Yes.
because he knows and he understands the meaning of the question, and he can communicate
Yes.
with you. This is what we want. Here, the target is not grammar. The target is to be able to communicate with
Yes.
others. The second one, why do you like it? Here, Mr. Majid, I'm sorry for doing this voice or this sound, making this sound. Why do you like it? Here, he has to mention the reason. Here, Mr. Majid, he has to write, I think, a complete answer. What do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Not only because if he wants to answer this.
If he write because, full stop.
What about this? Is not
Not
acceptable.
enough.
I think
Yes.
not
Now,
enough.
what about the composition?
Well, we spoke about the composition that he has to choose.
Yeah, we covered
Yes, we
composition.
covered the
We covered
composition.
questions, we covered
that
them.
it should be
Yeah, we covered
yes,
that.
But
50 words.
there are some pieces of advice concerning compositions that when the student writes the composition, he should be careful to use correct punctuation
Yes.
marks, capitalization, spelling, and how to, as Mr. Majid said, to connect between his ideas and his sentences.
Yeah, so we can tell the student that when his composition is going to be corrected, the corrector first looks if the composition responds to the task. Is it the same what the question wants the student to write?
Of course.
If it is, the response is correct, so they start correcting. If it's another composition, it is 0.
Yes.
But when we have response between what is written and the question, we go to, so the student needs to write good punctuation,
Yes.
at least one full stop or one question mark or something to show that, and after full stop he needs to capitalize. Capitalization is connected to punctuation. Spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes are two categories.
Okay.
And using good vocabulary. The
Okay.
student needs to use good
Before
vocabulary.
we continue, we have another call, I think from Tartus, right? Randa, Miss Randa Khudur
Yes.
from Tartus, right?
Yes.
Good afternoon, Miss Randa.
Good afternoon. How are you?
How do you do?
I'm fine, thank you. How do you do?
Fine.
Fine.
Yeah, fine.
Because of your call.
Good afternoon.
Thanks. That's very kind of you.
Thank you. I'm sure you have something for us for today.
Yes. Actually, I'm a teacher. I work in Tartus.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you for your great efforts, especially.
you.
Thank you very much.
And I wish the best of luck for our dear students, all of them, all over Syria.
We too.
Okay, I have actually some tips for them. I hope they are useful. Actually, they are not about how to deal with the exam paper in particular, let's say, rather than, let's say, how to study or prepare compositions for the exam.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, it's really important, or let's say it's wrong to memorize the composition. Lots of students follow this strategy, which is really wrong.
Good.
Don't learn word by word, learn by heart. Okay, it's wrong. So otherwise, it would be really hard work to memorize, let's say, a big number of compositions in the book.
Yes.
So what can we do? I think it's very important to divide let's say, the composition into main points. The first point should be the topic sentence, okay, that introduces or states.
You mean they should start with the key sentence, the
yes,
key
exactly,
sentence?
a key sentence.
Good.
I agree with you. Of
Yeah,
course.
that at least, let's say, just states the composition or introduces the main idea of the whole composition or paragraph, let's say.
Good.
After this, let's say, the student can, let's say, divide the composition into main ideas, or three, actually no more than 3 or 4 ideas. 4 ideas are enough. Divide, let's say, the composition into the ideas, and then each idea, let's say, should be developed into a sentence.
Good.
Okay, into a sentence, let's say, and then the students should think of the subject, the verb, the agreement, the word order, all of these things. And then, let's say, after this, the students can join these sentences using linking words. Okay, so that so it will be easier to read.
Okay? And then let's say, actually sometimes it's not very necessary to have a conclusion sentence, but just something, let's say, to tell the reader that the paragraph, let's say, has ended. Okay?
Very good.
So
Thank you.
this would be easier for them to study that at home, at least. And also, of course, they can follow the same strategy or the same steps in, let's say, when they are, let's say, doing the exam.
Good. Thanks for your advice.
Thank you very
Our
much.
dear
Thank you.
students.
Yes.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you.
Your participation is very, very
Thank you. May I add a short idea? Or
enriching our seminar.
Yeah, please, please.
Thank you.
Why not?
Okay.
Okay.
I always advise my students not to write long sentences. Don't complicate things.
Good.
Always use short, straight sentences.
You mean simple sentences?
Yeah, that's very important
Okay.
because let's say sometimes they just complicate things and then you don't, let's say you read and you mix between the subject and the verb, let's say. So short, straight sentences are very important.
You mean be simple, be clear,
Exactly.
be logical.
The
That's
simpler
it.
the better, yes.
Good.
And of course, you have already mentioned things about the punctuation and capitalization and so on.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very
all.
much.
Thank you, all of you.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best.
Actually, a lot of students concentrate on composition, and if we look at the exam paper, we have 400 marks for the whole exam, only 50 for composition. So we have 350 for the other questions and only 50 for composition, but we have a fear of the composition. I'm not saying it's not important, but it is not the most important question in the
That's
exam.
it.
We have
That's it.
350
They
for
care
other
for the
questions.
composition, but we
Yes.
have 350 marks.
Other away from composition.
Yes.
Only
Away from
50
What
for
about
composition.
them?
Okay.
Yes.
So,
And I assure the students, if the students write something responded to the question, he will get at least 5 marks or 10 marks for vocabulary, or 10 marks for, let me say, task response. He may lose some marks for grammar or spelling, but in the end, he may get half the mark of the composition.
At least. At
even
least.
if the
At least.
composition is not very good.
Yes.
So it's not a big problem to
but
care
what,
too
my
much.
question, my final question before the break, what if the student writes the two compositions together?
Consider
Some-
the bitter. Sometimes the answer is consider the bitter, and sometimes consider the
The
first.
first.
It depends on the grading scale, either the bitter or the first. So it's the chance of the student. And we advise him not to write two, just
No,
one.
Just one.
Okay. Can we have a break for 1 minute or not? Can we? It's okay. Dear colleagues, dear students, let's have a break for some seconds and then we can go back. Thank you. Welcome back, dear colleagues, dear students, to our seminar for today, which is specified to talk about English exam for the 9th grade. Well, dear colleagues, before the break, we were trying to hint or to give some hints
Yes.
about or on the exam itself. We talked in details about each question. Now, I'd like to give the students a quick revision of some, let's say, important issues, grammatical skills in the curriculum itself. I think it's a good idea to revise tenses in general, because tenses, as you know, are important for everything.
Yes.
When they are able to use tenses correctly, they will understand the conditionals, the passive voice, the reported speech, how to write which sentences, and so on. So tenses are number one when we talk about grammar, because they deal with tenses when they write the composition, when they write answers in the dialogues or questions, and so on. So when they write answers to the text itself, in text number 2, they need to write answers, so they need to use good grammar, correct tenses, and so on. So let me start with you, as usual, Miss Umayma. Let's
Thank you.
talk about, as you know, as you can see on the screen, let's have the laptop, please. We have present tenses, past tenses, and future tenses.
Yes.
When we talk about present tenses, Miss Umayma, as you know, we have the simple present,
We
present
have the simple,
continuous, or the
yes.
progressive, present perfect, and present perfect continuous.
Yes.
Would you please give us an idea, a quick
quick
idea,
idea,
about,
of course.
with some examples about the present simple,
Simple.
and the present continuous, please?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Basil. Speaking about simple present, you know that it's used for repeated actions. If we give an example, here we have, for example, we play tennis most weekends, repeated actions.
Good.
I paint pictures sometimes. Selma usually goes shopping on Fridays. We use it also, another use, we use it for a routine or situation that we see as permanent. For example, I work at a sports shop. It's a permanent job. It doesn't mean that temporary, okay?
So a permanent situation,
a
Ms.
permanent
Umayma. When we say
situation.
permanent situation, we mean it lasts forever.
Yes,
I work at a sports shop. It's my job.
yes.
So it doesn't change. This situation doesn't change. It's permanent,
It's
not
permanent.
temporary.
Always.
Yes.
I always work in this place, okay?
So the students should know that we use the simple present to talk about permanent situations, not temporary situations. When we talk about temporary situations, just like the studio now, we are in the studio
Yes.
now, we are explaining tenses now. It's a temporary situation.
continuous.
So
We can
there
use
is
the
another
present
tense, yes.
not permanent
Not
situation.
simple, not simply,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
It's another tense.
Yes.
Speaking about the present, it's about permanent.
Good.
Another example, they live in a very nice flat. They
Good.
live because they live there permanently.
Good.
Well, to use this present simple, we use it also for thoughts and feelings.
Like
I
what?
think, for example, the verbs think, love, want, wants.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I think you are right.
I think you are right.
I think you are right.
Okay.
Faisal wants a new bike. Most children like ice cream. Thoughts and feelings. Okay.
Good,
We use it for states and facts. States and facts. Scientific facts, for example, things which always happen in nature. Scientific facts, the general facts for the states. For example, I know Ahmed quite well.
It's a state verb.
It's a state. We live on a farm in the countryside.
Yes.
Latakia lies on the Syrian coast. Okay?
It's a fact.
It's a fact. Earth goes round the sun. It's a fact.
Good.
Well, facts
Never change.
Never change. So we use present simple when speaking about
So
facts.
I understand that we used with habits,
Habits, routines, facts.
and state verbs.
Routine, yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Do we use frequency adverbs in
Yes.
this case?
Well, speaking about this, something which is frequently repeated, we speak about that repeated actions, adverbs of frequency are used in
If
this
something
case.
happens all the time,
All the time.
100% we
Yes.
use
Always.
Always.
If it is just 80%, most of the time, but not
Usually.
some, usually,
Yes.
yeah, and
60%
less than
often,
often,
Yes.
sometimes.
then seldom, and never is 0%.
Rarely.
So these are called frequency
Adverbs of
adverbs.
frequency.
Yes, sometimes every day, every minute, every week, every
Twice a
Monday.
week, once a week.
Well,
Now we have two cases. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to
no.
participate a little bit.
It's okay.
Yes,
why
of
not?
course.
We add
It's
s
okay.
to the verb.
Yes,
it is
it's
mentioned,
mentioned
here, Mr.
later.
We can watch it on the screen.
Yes,
Thank you.
because I need to be
Okay.
watched, then speak
Thank
about
you.
it. It had the same form as the infinitive, as we say. It's an infinitive, but
I have a question.
Yes.
Is there difference between infinitive and zero form?
well, the infinitive and zero form.
They look like each other,
Yes.
but is infinitive and zero form are the same, but verb one is different.
Yes.
We add s to it, and we have a mistake sometimes happens with some teachers.
Yes.
They say we use verb one when we use question form of the simple present.
Yes.
So they say auxiliary do plus verb one. Is it verb one? No,
No,
it's
it's
verb
zero
zero
form.
See,
or
zero
infinitive.
form.
Or
Or
infinitive.
infinitive.
And when we talk about the infinitive, we have two types of infinitive.
With
We have
two?
full infinitive and bare infinitive.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's the bare infinitive.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we say that if the subject, as Mr. Majid said, the third person singular, like he, she, and it, we add s, okay, or es to the verb. I like, he likes, she likes, they like,
Yes.
we like. That's
Because
it.
he, she, it are like Superman. They have S.
S.
They have S on them. So
Good
they
example.
Yeah, they put S.
Okay.
Well, we use do and don't in negatives and questions with pronoun I, you, they, we. Do you, do we, okay? Don't, I don't. Well, we don't play tennis. This is an example. We don't play tennis.
And I
do
have
you
to
play-
clarify something here.
Yes.
Some teachers say when we use does, we delete the S because the S went with does. This is not correct because even if the auxiliary is can, he swims. Can he swim? When we use an auxiliary, we go to verb zero, and verb zero or the bare infinitive doesn't have S or ed.
Yes, you are right, Mr. Majid. But sometimes I think that the teachers, as he knew, the teacher knows his students, how to deal with them, how to explain
He has his own
things.
way
He has
to teach
his
them,
own way.
so,
Well,
there are some teachers, in fact, like those who use their own style when
Simplify
teaching.
things.
It's okay, but they want their students to remember, you see, the information, and they want them not to forget.
Yes.
They want them to remember it. So this is why they tell them, or they use this strategy,
the S
or this
jumps.
style. Yes, the S jumps.
To does.
Or goes back to.
Okay,
yes.
that's it. We use does and doesn't with the third person singular, he, she, and it. He doesn't want any help. What does he want? That's all for the present simple. I
Thank
think I covered everything about
Thank
it in the affirmative statement, the negative, and the question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So there is a very important information here, which is to use do or does to make negatives and questions
The
when
most
talking about the simple
difficult
present.
Yes.
tense is the simple present because the other tenses we have auxiliary. In the present continuous we have am is are, and other we have with the simple present perfect continuous.
The only tenses in English are
is
simple present and simple past.
past.
Yes.
In the simple
The
past
simple
we use
past.
did.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay. The present continuous.
Yes,
please.
we use it for something that's happening now at the time of speaking. Now, a specific
As we said
time.
before,
As,
yes.
as we said before.
Yes.
Example, Ali is enjoying his holiday in London. Now he is enjoying his holiday.
He is in London now.
He is in London now.
It means that he is in London now. Yes.
Yes. I'm making you a cup of tea, Mom. Alia and Tariq are studying at the moment. Okay, we have some hints here. We will speak about them
At the
related
moment.
at the
Now.
moment. Well, we use it for something happening about this time, but not necessarily at the time of speaking. About this time, he's studying Damascus University this year. This time, it means this year, not this moment or now. This year, it means this time. Here we use.
Let me clarify something here. I think it's very, very important,
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Abdul Majid, and I think Mr. Abdul Majid
Yeah, I'm thinking
wants
the same.
Wants to speak
focus
about
on
it. Yeah.
This year, when we say this year, we can use any tense with this year, with this year, okay? Why? Here the situation, it's just an example. It doesn't
It's
mean
just
that
an example.
when you see this year, you have to use the present continuous.
No.
No, I
It's
don't
not
mean
correct,
this, yes.
because I can say he studied at Damascus University this year.
He
and
has-
he will study, and he is going to study.
He has
He has
studied.
studied.
Yes.
He is studying. He studies, and so on.
Yes.
So we can use all tenses, but in this situation, we mean that this year, now, there is something going on at the time of speaking.
Yes.
He is in the middle of the
Yeah,
action.
I can clarify this. Here we are talking about an action not complete.
That's it.
When we talk about something not finished, in progress.
Okay.
For example, there is a book on the table.
Before we go on, Mr. Abdelmajid,
When I start speaking, we have a call.
they intend, they do this because of you. Okay, we have Ala from Aleppo. Ala, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Nice to receive a call from Aleppo.
Me too.
Yes.
How is Aleppo?
Fine.
And
We
how
hope
are you?
Fine too.
Thanks for your call, Ala.
My question is about in the unit 8 there is the second type of if sentences. My question is about how can I conjugate verb to be if it comes after if?
Verb to be, if it comes, you mean?
Comes
After if?
After it.
Which type? The conditionals, you are asking about the conditionals, the if sentences, right?
Yes.
Okay.
After it or after if?
Yeah, she wants to know if we can use. You want to know if we can use where with all pronouns. This
This is your question?
Yes.
It is. It is okay.
Listen,
You can
Majid.
use. Actually, the original way is to say if I was, if he was, if we were, if they were. But in conditional sentences, as well as in wish sentences, you can use were with all pronouns.
For the second type.
You can say if I were and if I was. You can
If
say
we are
it were.
imagining something
Yes.
about the present which is not true.
Yes, yes. This is type 2.
Mr. Ala,
Yes.
Yes.
let's say in reality, it's okay, I am not a millionaire. Okay? Let's say if I were a millionaire or if I were rich, I would buy a car, I would buy a villa. If I had a computer now, I would use the net, but I don't have a computer. I am imagining here. Mr. Abdelmajid mentions the second type of conditionals only.
I think her question is about, is it okay to say if I were or only
Of course,
if I was?
it's
Is it
okay
your
to say
question?
were and it's okay to say was.
Good.
But I think were is formal and was is not. But both of them
Are
are
correct.
accepted. Do you have another
But we
question?
cannot say they
with,
was. We cannot
addition-
say they was.
Of course, we cannot say they was. Can we say they was?
No.
No.
Huh? We was?
But with he and she.
Yes.
Yeah, you can say was and were. Both. But here-
Ala,
Yes.
Mr. Abdelmajid told you that you can use were with all pronouns.
Yes.
If it were, if I were, if he were, if she were, if we were, if, and so on. You can use were with all pronouns, but you
Yes.
cannot use was with all pronouns, of course. Okay?
Okay, thank
In
you
the
very
second
much.
conditionals. Good luck, Ala. Goodbye.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Majid. Sorry for interruption, but it's a good question.
Yes. Well,
Okay, let's go
let's
on.
go
So
on.
we were talking about this year.
Yes,
Uh,
not finished
you haven't
issues.
finished.
When we are talking about something, I was telling Umayma about there is a book on the table, and someone wants to take it. I say Umayma is reading the book. Of course, she's not reading right now, but I mean she didn't finish. So I can use it when temporary, not completed actions.
Let me speak frankly.
Okay.
Some traditional teachers use traditional methods of teaching and tell the students that when you see this year, for example, you have to use the
it's not
present
a good
continuous.
idea,
It's
yeah.
not correct.
Yeah,
When
this
you
way in
see
teaching is not
always,
good.
you have to use the simple present. It's not correct.
Not correct.
Not correct, yeah. We use
So
always
it
with all
depends on the
tenses.
situation
Yes.
itself.
It depends on
So
the sentence.
they can tell the students that we can use always to talk about repeated actions in the past, and we can use always to talk about repeated actions in the present. So the students will understand this easily. Don't say that when you see this year, use so and so. When you see for, use
Yeah,
so
this
and
is
so.
the wrong
For,
word.
again, for, the word for can be used with all pronouns,
Yes,
with all
yes,
tenses,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
Not only with the present perfect, for example.
So the student needs to read the context, the whole
They
sentence.
need to
and
read the whole sentence.
elicit- to
The whole
elicit,
sentence.
Yeah, yeah. But what we were talking about is a good thing. Ms. Umayma was telling that something happening at the moment of speaking, or something in progress.
Mr.
but not
Abdelmajid,
finished.
again, they interrupted
I-
you.
yeah, I
We have
noticed
Ala
that.
from
They love you.
Latakia.
Yeah.
love
Ala, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How do you do?
Fine.
Are you in the 9th grade, Ala?
Yeah.
your voice is means that you are a man now,
Yes.
and we can depend on you. We are looking forward that you are going to achieve something
mark.
great in the exam, to do something great. So, are you working hard now?
Yes.
Are you preparing well for the exam?
Good.
Good. What's your question, Ala?
I want to know if the sentence is true or false.
True or false? What about them?
It's page 47.
Page 47. Okay. Would you please read the sentence for us? Because we don't have the book.
Help people in Africa.
Sorry?
What rate?
Water?
What rate?
I
The voice is not here.
The voice is not clear.
Continue.
Continue.
Water aid only,
Water aid.
Water aid.
Water aid.
only helps people in Africa.
Water aid
Only
only
help.
Yeah,
Help.
of course, this is false.
help
Because
what?
Water helps all people.
Just only helps what? Go
People
on.
in Africa.
No, not only people in Africa. Why? Can you tell me why, Ala?
Do we need water, Ala?
I don't know.
Ala, can you hear me?
No, it's true here.
It's true.
So only people in Africa.
Water
can help.
aid helps if it depends on the text, Mr. Abdul Majid. If the text, Ala, what does the text mention about water aid?
Because water aid is at stake is that help people in Africa get safe, clean water.
Good.
So here we are talking about a charity in Africa. Yani specific charity, not a charity in general. When we talk about a charity in general, the charity can help all people all over the world. But here maybe, Mr. Abdul Majid, the text talks about Africa, as you know, Miss Umayma.
Yes.
As I remember, it
Yes.
talks about Africa and how this charity helps the people in Africa to get water and clean water. Right?
Not only people. Not only.
Not
it's
only.
not written in the text. Is it wrritten in the? Does it written?
The sentence again, Ala,
Yes.
please.
Is it written there?
Give me the sentence again. Water aid
only
helps
people
people in
in Africa.
Africa.
In Africa.
Don't
Go
say
back to
only.
the text. Have you read the text?
Yes.
What does the text tell you about water aid? Please read the sentence.
Water aid and charity that helps people in Africa get safe, clean water, dig well, install pumps and clear out hygiene.
Okay.
So it is true that water aid helps people in Africa, but what we were telling you
But
that
not only.
water can help all over the world.
Yes.
Not only, but
Yes.
in the text it's written in Africa. Yes, it's true it helps, but in general,
You see,
idea.
Ala, when you talk about a charity, and this charity helps many people in many countries all over the world. So we don't mean only the
in
people in Africa. We mean people in all countries, or in poor countries, let's say,
Yes.
in developing countries. Okay, so in those developing countries, this charity helps the people to get clean water, to build schools, to dig wells, etc.
well, let me help Allah. Now, when we say here the sentence is false, it doesn't mean that it doesn't help people in Africa. Yeah, it helps people, but it is false because it doesn't cover all over the world. Water is important for all people.
For all people, not only
in
for the
Africa.
people of
Yes,
Africa.
it is important for Africa, but also it's important for all over the
all
world. This is
people.
why we say it's false. It is not specified only for Africa.
This charity, I mean, Allah, is not found only for Africa. It is found, or it was found,
For
to
everyone.
help people everywhere.
Everywhere.
Is it clear, Allah?
Is it true or false?
False.
It's false.
Water aid only helps people in Africa.
It's
it is false.
It helps all people, not only
helps
Africa.
all people.
It's false.
Okay? It depends on the text, by the way. Don't worry, Allah.
Hello?
You are hello.
Hello, how are you?
Fine.
Fine.
Who's
I'm
speaking?
Ala's father. I tried to help him.
Oh my God, you
Welcome.
speak
So,
English very
please,
well.
I don't know exact.
I want to depend on the text itself.
Yeah.
Right.
According to the text, it's true, isn't it?
Go back to the text. We don't have.
Yes. According to
we
the
don't-
text,
just a minute.
it's
We
true.
don't have the book now between us.
No,
We are
the
very
book
sorry.
says-
So we have to read the text itself to
Yes,
decide.
please, because so, in the book it's written,
Can you read the text
yes,
slowly?
in the book it's written, water aid is a charity that helps people in Africa get clean water, dig with, install pumps, and
Final.
care about
It's final.
So,
It has.
according to
Okay. The idea is
it's
clear.
true,
Sorry.
but in general idea, for adults and other people, it's normal that this charity helps people all over the world.
Yeah. This is what we're saying.
So, what's
what's the question?
what's the question now? The
No,
sentence
I want-
water aid only helps people in Africa. When you
So is it
went
true
on in
or-
the text,
I want-
there are other sentences in the text which talks about water aid as a charity, as an international charity,
Yes.
Yes,
not
and-
a
and
charity
it's
for
not
Africa.
charity, it helps people all over the world.
That's
But
right.
I have this charity only in Africa, and so it helps people only in Africa. So
No.
according to this,
It's
so
false.
it's true.
No, it's not true.
It's not.
No, it's not true.
No, it's not true.
It's okay. It is not a big problem. Ala, right?
Ala, yes.
Ala. I don't know your name. I'm sorry. So
Yes,
okay. Here it's not a big problem. You are talking about a sentence in the book
In the
itself.
text, yes,
in the
right.
book itself. So Ala has to read the sentence, and it depends on the text itself. So
Yes.
what I can tell you now,
Yes,
any
now,
question.
as a student, now I am as a student.
Okay. You
Yes.
are in the exam. Everything will be clear.
Clear, yes, I
So
know that.
relax, be calm. Don't worry about this sentence.
Yeah.
We don't have the book. If we have the book with us,
We would be able to.
can give you a good
you
answer.
don't have the book with
We
you
don't-
now?
No.
No.
No, so
Look at us.
I have
don't
it.
the
I
book.
have it.
So this is why we ask you
Can I speak?
to read it. We asked you to read the
Yes.
text again because we don't have. We are very sorry. We didn't bring our books with us.
So according to the book, it's written as I read it to you, and there's something I didn't understand missing between me and between my son.
Logically speaking, madam, logically speaking, when we say Water Aid is a charity which helps people in Africa. Okay, this is the first sentence.
Yes.
Go on, after 3 or 4 sentences, you have read them. The fourth, maybe, or the fifth sentence says, Water Aid help people all over the world, right? You talked about this.
That
Yes.
You have read.
in the old version, it was
So we have 2 editions. You see, this is why we say the text. It depends on the text itself.
Yes.
If it is mentioned in the text that water aid helps
in Africa.
helps
That
people
text
in
only in
Africa,
Africa.
so it is true. But
It's true,
if
yes.
the text says
Yes.
that it is an international charity and it helps people all over the world,
but internationally
it is
it's not
false.
mentioned here in the text.
Okay,
It's not
if-
mentioned here.
okay, if it is not mentioned,
Yes.
the sentence is true.
Oh, this is what I need
Okay,
for
if-
my
It
son.
depends, madam, it depends on the text. Don't worry. I said don't worry. If
Okay.
it is not mentioned in the text, the sentence is
not
true.
mentioned.
If it is mentioned in the text, the sentence is false.
So, according to the text, it's true.
Of course.
Is that
Okay.
it?
So you know the answer. Why-
Yeah.
You know the answer.
Good
Why are
speaking
asking?
English.
Why are you
I'm
asking?
trying to ask because
Oh.
some of my of his friends have it as the false, and my son, I convinced him that is it true.
Okay.
So now we want to ask you.
Don't worry about this.
No.
Don't worry.
Since it is in one edition, not in the both editions, don't worry. It's
Don't
not
worry.
going to be exam question.
No, don't.
Okay.
This sentence, maybe. Okay.
Okay. Thanks a lot for you, Mr. Bassett.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome. Anyway, some families, as you see, parents are interested. All parents are
Yeah, all parents are interested.
caring for
Good.
the future of their kids. She speaks English very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she is caring for her kid. it's her right to ask such question, and there are many similar cases.
Actually,
they want,
we don't have the book, but logically, as you said, water is not only important for people in Africa.
but it is
water
not
is
final, Mr.
not
Majid.
only
We
in
cannot
Africa.
give
So when we
the
gave
final
her the final, when we
answer.
said
Why?
false,
Because it depends on the text.
Yeah.
I said if the text says water aid only helps people in Africa,
so this is false.
it's true, not false.
Only?
If the water aid, if the water aid was founded for the purpose of helping African people, you see, if the text,
Yeah, okay.
mentions this, so the sentence is true. But if the water aid, the charity itself, helps other people all over the world, the sentence is false. So it depends on the text.
It depends on the text.
We don't have the text with us now. So it's okay. It's not a big problem, I think,
Well,
because in the exam, the questions
It's clear,
will be
it's simple
very
and
yes.
clear, yes.
Time has passed quickly, and we have only 3 minutes. We were talking about tenses.
Tenses.
And they need, I'm sure that they have studied tenses with their teachers, but we were trying to highlight some points. At the end of this seminar, I want some pieces of advice from both of you, dear colleagues, to our dear students. What can you tell the students? Ms. Umayma, please.
Yeah,
Let me
thank you.
start with Ms. Umayma. You have only 1 minute, please.
Yes, I always advise the students to read carefully, try to be careful with the questions from number 1 to the end. We have 2 pages, write carefully, you have numbers, write the correct answer next to the number itself and be sure that you write it itself, not another question. Don't change, don't be nervous. The questions are simple. Read everything and you are going to have the full mark.
Thank
That's
you very
it.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Majid, please.
Thank you. Well, for me, I advise the students to make sure that they know the meaning of the words in the book and not to memorize for composition. Read the book, read the words, make sure that you understand, and in the exam, I assure you, if you understand everything in the question, you'll be able to answer it even if you don't study. I'm not saying don't study, but make sure that you know the meaning of the words. This is the most important thing, and don't waste time memorizing composition. As we said, composition is allotted only 50 marks. We have 350 for the other questions. So cover the whole book and try to write sentences. In the exam, whatever the question about composition is, just write sentences and you will get marks even if you didn't prepare for the composition.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Abdul Majid, I'd like to add something, of course, here
Please.
concerning memorization. Not only composition. Some students go back to their books and read even the sentences about the text, the exercises, even the sentences, the true false sentences, for example, after a text, or the questions after each text. It's not necessary, as you said, to memorize even these questions or these answers, just to understand them, because maybe in the exam these questions would be different, adapted, changed. You see?
Yes.
So it depends on comprehension, on understanding the text itself. But it's okay to, as a practice, as a training for them to answer these questions, but not to memorize them. Never memorize.
Yes.
Don't memorize.
Don't memorize.
My, let's say, another piece of advice, which is sleep well, eat well, work hard. You have to have a schedule for timetable,
And they need to do
studying.
sport.
Don't forget to sleep well. Don't forget to eat well. Don't say that I have a lot of duties and I can't sleep, I have to finish them. No, it's wrong to do that. You have to sleep well.
And advice to the parents not to push.
And I ask
Yes.
parents
Asking,
to
study,
ask
study.
their kids to sleep early and to wake up early, because the early morning is very, very good for studying. The early hours, the first hours in the morning are very, very important and useful. Why? Because the brain is active
And they
the
don't
body
need
is
to go
relaxed.
to sleep immediately after they have studied for a period of time. Take a rest so that your brain collects things, orders them, then go to sleep. Because if someone sleeps immediately after he has been studying for a while, his brain will continue working even in his sleeping.
Okay. Well, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, dear students, at the end of this seminar, I hope that we have highlighted some important points, some important facts or issues about the English test for the 9th grade students. At the end of this seminar, let me thank Ms. Umayma Sherba, an English supervisor from Tartus. Thank you very much
Thank you very
for
much.
your participation. Mr. Abdelmajid Ogherli, the coordinator of English in NCCD. Thank you very much for your participation, Mr. Abdelmajid. Well, till we meet in other seminars, we wish you all the best and goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.